Did you know that 90% of all customers will read a review before deciding to do business? Today we're talking about how to turn your reviews into assets on this episode of Coffee with Tea. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. Today, we are going to talk to Mr. Greg Goshorn, who's going to talk to us about online reputation. And first of all, I have to catch up with and see, Mr. Goshorn, how have you been dealing with everything with this COVID-19 and stuff?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And thanks for asking. We are doing well, and we're blessed. The family is good, and actually business is pretty good. The stuff we do is essential to virtually every business, and we're also blessed to have a client base, and a lot of them are doing well. They are in essential industries. So thank you so much. We're doing well, and as it seems like many are, though some are struggling.
Right. So, we're going to talk about online reputation. And first of all, for those who are really not familiar with, you got to bear with my Alexa app. She's talking to me. Online reputation, what does that mean and what does that look like for those who are not familiar with it?
Well, we talk about online reputation being very important. Because it's kind of a 90th percentile thing. And we say it this way, it's like, you look at reviews when selecting a product or service, Everybody does, and so 90% of the people in the last week or two have gone out and read a review. Another 90% stat, is that, 97% of consumers aged 18 to 34, read online reviews to judge a local business. 92% of consumers, read online reviews for local businesses. And another 90% one I like that we use is that, 90% of the people, potential customers, are going to check you out online before they even call you. So you never even get a chance to talk to them because they looked you up and you didn't you weren't the obvious choice, right? You didn't have a compelling online reputation. And so I don't know exactly what that means. We have some ideas, there's numbers out there that talk about, people look at 10 reviews before making a decision. And they want to see probably 6 to 10 reviews before you could even be trusted, right? And these are good reviews, right? You might have some bad ones.
Right.
We can talk about that. They're an opportunity for the business, but in some things that we talk about and others do too is that without at least a half a dozen 5-star reviews, your business isn't even trusted by some of the consumers out there.
Wow. So, when you talk about, I know I'm one of those type of, maybe I'm not the only one, but I know sometimes you see all the positive reviews and then you might see that one that says one bad review. That's the one I'll go there to see because usually you want to see how did they handle that, So I know I'm not the only one.
You are not the only one. Everybody does that, right? And people talk about, having 5-star reviews, and we say that a lot, and they absolutely should be, the preponderance, 4 and 5 stars. Anything that's all 5 stars, boy, is that truly trustworthy? Is that real life? Maybe not, right?
Right.
And so people do read the bad reviews. And so I'll say this, it's important to respond to every review, good and bad. And there's some SEO elements that we can talk about later in that. But to answer your question, yes, especially respond to the negative reviews. And so things are going to happen in the world, in life, bad days, miscommunication, right? And so they need to be addressed. and they need to be addressed in a mature and thoughtful and non-reactive way. Certainly you should, be speaking to the person who left the review. But here's the mindset, and here's the opportunity in a bad review for a business. You should be phrasing it and thinking about all of the other hundreds or thousands that are going to read your response to that review. Now, this is an opportunity for the business to shine. You can say, that's not the level of service or product that we want either, but mostly you want to say the right things. You want to handle it professionally. You want to try to get it resolved. And what it's going to show is to all of the future potential customers, how well you handle your business and yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to think of it in addressing the one, but also think of it in the eyes of all the many who are going to be reading your reply, right? So what you don't do is be angry and retaliatory and things like that, right? And so you can admit fault if there is fault. Maybe there's not, but taking a high path, a professional path, and having you be proud of what people read later about that situation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense because, like I said, I use a lot of examples from when I used to run my eBay shop, and we get a bad customer review, and you're like, oh my God, my business is ruined, but it's really not. It's something you can learn from it if you take that from that perspective. Is that basically what it's similar to?
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, that is really an enlightened point of view, right? Rather than being reactive to the one thing, you are getting real feedback from your customers, right? And hopefully, maybe they expose something that was wrong, in your business or your delivery company or whatever it is. A conscientious, thoughtful business owners, as I think the dang mass majority of them are, want to do right, by their customers, and feedback from the customers is almost the most direct path.
Right. I mean, I used to, like I said, I used to, well, like I said, it's a smaller scale, but it's the same thing because you want to do good customer service. So, like, for example, when I used to have the eBay business, if I didn't get a review back from that customer, I was kind of nervous about asking for one because you never know what you're going to get back. So I mean, but I knew, you have to ask for it because you need the reviews. So is that basically what your online reputation for your business and how they feedback, is that similar to that?
So yeah, that's absolutely part of it. These things are out there, and any good system should be asking for them, right? Mm-hmm. You have to build your reviews, good or bad. You want that feedback because you need to have a bunch of them, right? You don't want to have just the 6 or 10, some of our clients have, hundreds. And so you want to be building them because they are actually a factor in Google SEO rankings. How many you have? You should have at least 10 good ones. You get some preferential thing from Google. You should have 10 pictures also in your Google My Business profile. You get some preferential treatment as a threshold. So you continue to build them. And one of the reasons you want to build them is because current reviews matter a lot to people. Mm-hmm. There's some stats out there that a percentage of the people, a majority of the people, consider reviews over 3 months old, less valuable, which may or not be true. But if that's what people think, then boy, we sure want to, position ourselves and be the obvious choice. And so, and I guess any business could could change in 3 months, right? Especially the last 3 months. So you always want to be asking for people. And so that's kind of the middle thing. The first thing people should do, and in our first pillar is managing, right? And so you should, monitor reviews, right? You should go out and, have a presence on all the places where you can get reviews, right? Google's not the only one. There's a whole bunch of ones out there. I mean, they're all over the homepage, right? I mean, you see them on Google, and they're on social media, they're on pay-per-click, they're in the directories, so you should have a matching listing, at Google and Bing and Facebook and Yelp, right? And so a lot of people say, well, I don't care about Bing, or I don't care about Super Pages or Yelp. Well, to be frank, it's a little short-sighted, right? And I used to feel that same way, but then I learned that, number one, there's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that actually use these other sites. And to speak to the SEO part of reputation, Google trusts all these other sites, right? So Google trusts what we call high authority sites, right? And make no mistake, Bing, Facebook, Yahoo, Super Pages, TripAdvisor, these others are very high authority sites. And so one of the first pillars of a solid reputation company is to manage it, right? So claiming listings and monitoring them, right? Mm-hmm. The second pillar, like you talked about, is building, which is asking for reviews, in person, via email, our system, will actually send out text messages also. And so you want to ask for it, good, bad, or otherwise, right? We need them. They're feedback from the customers, right? And they're the social proof, and the odds are great that you are serving them really well, right? And if you're not, doggone it, you ought to want to know, right? And fix it, make it better.
Right.
One pro tip is do not incentivize reviews.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is pretty much against the terms of service across the board. You can't incentivize the reviews out online, right? Like go, get $10 if you go give us a Google review, right? You can do different things. Some companies will say, on the receipt, go to our site and leave us some feedback, and then we'll give you a muffin or something, right? And that's okay. But out on these third-party sites, it really shouldn't be individually incentivized. Some people do run a contest, that everybody who leaves a review, will have a chance, right? So a chance isn't really a direct, trade for a review.
You know what I don't like, Mr. Greg, and this might be part of the building process, maybe you could correct me, is like when you go in and say you get a service done, and you always get the salesperson's like, please leave me a review on how to do it, and if there's anything less than a 4, then that really hurts me. Is that kind of like pushing somebody to give them a more positive review if that's not really what you feel?
Well, oh boy, that's a great question.
I mean, I'm not talking about anybody specific, but I mean, you've heard them pitch it. Like, if you don't have anything,
it does happen. It does happen in person and even online. If you, some of these sites that, if you're going to give them a low review, then they don't, send you off somewhere, right? Right. There's actually some rules against it called review gating, right? Where they don't want you to do that. Now, can people say anything they want? Yeah. Can people still do anything they want? Yeah. But a best practice is, to find out if they did bad and to head that off. But there shouldn't be a real process that hard stops that, right?
Right.
That's back to violating a terms of service, right? Because all of these places, especially Google, which is the big one, right? You know, their job is to make the best experience for the end user, right? Not the
Mm-hmm.
business, you know. They always want to give the best result for that person, which is why Google results are always different. If you do a search, you're going to get different results than if I do the same search.
Right.
Um, Now, the last pillar, if I can move on, is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean
Yeah.
to cut you off. It
No,
was on my
not at
mind.
all. You know, well, let's stay on the last one, on the build one, before we move on, right? So, you know, you should definitely start, with a Google My Business profile, right? And ask your clients, but you can get review links, from Google and Facebook and these other things, and you can put them in email, right? And you can put them in your email signature. You can do a lot of things on how to grow those, right? Because they're the new word of mouth, right? The new public referral. They're really truly an asset to the company, which is why we make them one of the top things that we do, which is why we think they're one of the top things that everybody should do, because they are out there everywhere. They are permanent, right? So we'll talk about building permanent digital assets. If you put your efforts, which we think it's the highest and best use of people's time and energy, money,
Mm-hmm.
to do the stuff that's not just gonna go away. Reviews are gonna build up. They're gonna stay there, and so they become an asset to the company, because you can leverage them, right? Every potential consumer, you, me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are looking for uh, some social proof, they'll call it, right? You want to know that they're going to take care of you, that you're going to know that they've taken care of other people, right? Everybody has this little trust box in their head they want to check before they feel like they can do business with somebody. And so after you've got these reviews, then you could be proactive and leverage them, uh, and then they become an asset to the company as far as showing them off or marketing them, right? So you can put them on your website, you can put them on social media, you can turn them into images, you can turn them into videos, right? Um, and then they really start working for you. So we're going to come full circle here, right? So the first thing people are going to do when they hear about you, or they saw an ad or whatever it is they're going to go check you out online. And so if you've done all that good work, and first of all, you got to do the good work so you get the good reviews, but we figure people are going to do that, right? They want to do
Right.
that. Then they've got the reviews, and then when we make an extra next step to show them off, right? So online, social media, we turn them into images, we turn them into videos, and so that people could go out and see that we're very trustworthy, that we've helped others, that they can kind of check that box, and then at some point they almost come, I wouldn't say they come pre-sold, but if they could see, a whole bunch of people already been super happy with you, then you're a step up, I think, when you walk into the next conversation, when you start to talk to them.
Right. So I didn't know, did we hit the last pillar? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, so we did, and that was it. So it's manage, build, and market.
Okay.
Right? So you got to
Right.
know what's going on, and then you got to get more, and then you got to leverage them and show them off.
Well, like I said, if you're doing good work, it shouldn't be a problem. I guess the biggest thing is just follow up and ask for them, right?
Indeed. And so a good system, either homegrown in-house or yours, is to ask for them after, you do business. And so, a good system like ours would have a CRM, a little database, that we can put the people in, and then, you know, 2 hours or 6 hours or a day, you know, whatever's appropriate, you know, for the business, then we can reach out to them and say, hey, Mr. Customer, you know, how do we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could do it manually, but a lot of small businesses are, you know, in a job of doing their business, right? And so they like to outsource this. You know, they don't want to have to follow up on every person, right? And then turn them into, you know, images, and then do all the publishing and make a video, right? And so they could just want to do the work and help the next person, and then help the next person make the decision to become the next customer.
Right, right. Yeah. So you have dropped some really not great wisdom on it and stuff like that. And I love your pro tips. So, but can you believe that we're just about out of time? So Mr. Greg, where can people find more information about your services and what you do?
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. And we'd sure love to help and call any questions. We'd sure love to have you as a client. And so, we have a couple of things that we actually lead. We lead with value, right? We want to lead with value, follow with education, and then partner for success. So if you go to reputation.onlinelocalvideo.com, we have got a dedicated landing page that talks about the reputation. And we have 2 free gifts for the viewers.
Oh, okay.
One is an ebook, a guide on how to grow your online reputation.
Okay.
And the other part, and we love that, and people love that too, and it gives them some real actionable things to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than our short conversation. And then secondly, when you start understanding and engaging this, you need to find out, you know, what are people seeing about you? Like, what's the status of your reviews online? So we also offer a complimentary SEO reputation report.
Okay.
And it will go out and search the major directories and find listings and reviews and recent reviews and negative reviews, and come back and give you like a letter grade, man, like school, right? You know, I got B-, I got C, I got A, right? And it'll tell you, you know, where you're at and where you can improve.
Awesome. Thank you for the free gifts. And like I said, I want to thank you for being on our guest. Of course, you're always welcome back, because you always got some great knowledge for helping us, our small business owners. And I also want to thank everybody who tuned in today and watched our show. Make sure you realize that feedback is always welcome, especially when we're talking about online reputation. Email us if you have any guest or show ideas. Links to all of the information that Greg has shared will be posted in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And again, I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of Coffee with Tea. We'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye. Share with us, what was one of your takeaways from today's show? Post your answers in the comments.